Hey everyone, thanks for getting Podcasting Pro Basics. The package, you get the book and you get these videos I'm going to make for you. I've been podcasting for over 4 or 5 years now. And when I first got started, the quality that I had was ridiculously bad. I think I was using the audio from the webcams even. Podcasting was just getting popular at the time. It wasn't that big. There was a handful of major players, and it's crazy when I look back now, over 4 or 5 years ago, how the landscape has changed. There's people that are making thousands of dollars in commercials and sponsorships on their podcasts now. All the major networks are starting to get into podcasting: CBS, NBC, CNN. Everybody's doing it. So there's a lot of competition out there right now, But the thing is that you can still get into it. It's not hard. Getting a show on television is hard. Getting a show on the radio is hard. Putting on a podcast is simple. There's hardly any red tape you have to go through. You just can't be intimidated. You gotta go for it and do it. And like I said, the good news is there's nobody that can stop you from podcasting except yourself. It's not hard. It really is simple. Once you get the hang of it, it's gonna be cake, and you're gonna feel just as good as any of the podcasts you listen to. So as we get started here, and if you read the book or you haven't read the book yet, you're gonna find there's a ton of equipment available to you. It might be a little overwhelming, but the first thing you need to do is figure out your investment. And you never want to go into anything buying the most expensive stuff first, because you just don't need it. A lot of the big time guys like Joe Rogan, he has money, and he uses probably the most expensive Shure microphone there is. It's a great quality mic. He's not much better than that, if not at all, but it's expensive. But he's getting tons of money from sponsorships already, so you don't need to go that route. You can start with a more low cost package and just get going, but you're still gonna get great quality. And you're gonna hear me say that over and over again: great quality, because it doesn't matter what the content is. The content is going to take care of itself most of the time. If you're already getting into podcasting, I imagine you have some kind of experience, or you feel like you're a great talker, and the podcast stuff is going to come easy for you. The content part is going to come easy for you. So the thing you want to worry about, most, if you're already past that part, is the quality of your sound. Because if it's not easy to listen to, and it hurts somebody's ears, or it doesn't sound right in their car, they're not going to continue listening. They're not going to subscribe to you. It's just not an enjoyable experience for the listener. So that's the thing we got to focus on, is quality. But like I said, quality doesn't mean lots of money. So, and I love to say this because I say this in the book. I love to say this, like, don't be a person that's gonna go start playing guitar and then goes buy a Les Paul right away. The person makes the guitar sound good. It's not the guitar that makes the person sound good. But once you're good on guitar, and then you're already good, and you already go get the Les Paul, then you're gonna sound even more amazing. But don't go in too deep on this. Start off good. So what you'll see in the book is I listed a bunch of different packages. And so there's a good, there's a better, and there's a best. So, really, equipment-wise, you can get started for $150, which is a minimal investment. And you know what? That includes this microphone right here that I'm using to record this. This is the Yeti Blue mic, and it's a great all-around mic. It has a ton of different settings. You can do cardioid, you can do stereo, you can do omnidirectional, bidirectional. It's a very versatile mic. The quality is great. A lot of Twitch streamers use it. if you're going to get started and you're going to have 1 to 2 people at a time, or you're going to do one-on-ones or Google Hangouts or something to record your podcast, this is the one you're going to use. Whenever I do the Google Hangouts podcast for some of the shows that I work with, this is the mic we're using. It's great quality. You can't go wrong with it. It's just versatile and it's not expensive. You can get these for around $100 on Amazon, and you can find that at podcastingpro.com in our microphone section. But it's a great way to start. The other thing about it is that it's USB mic, and it's the only USB mic that I'm going to recommend. And you don't need any mixing boards. That's the best part. You don't know how to work it. You don't need to know how to work a mixing board. You just set there's a gain button back here. You just set that and you're good. I mean, you set your setting and you're good. There's no need to mess with the mixing boards. It already has its preamps in it, so it's going to pick up everything. You're not going to have to get a lot of juice out of it. So it's a great recommendation. This is my top recommendation to get started. But if you're going to have more than 2 guests at any time in the same room, this mic isn't going to work for you. You're going to need a mixing board, and you're going to need a set of mics. And the mics that I recommend are the Cardioid mics. It's like the Shure SM58, but there's a knockoff version that I really like called the GLS Audio 58. And I can't tell the difference. Actually, when I used to perform and do music shows and I used to sing, I actually used to prefer the knockoff version to the Shure version. It just seemed better, seemed a little hotter, seemed like the quality was just a little better, but it's half the price. You can get those for $50 on Amazon. They're great mics. They pick up good, but they do need a mixing board because you got to use the XLR inputs. And you're only going to find that in a mixing board. You can find a couple of little XLR input things that you can put it into. You can get those at Guitar Center or you can find them on Amazon. But I'm going to recommend that if you're going to go into that, if you're going to start with that, you might as well get a small mixing board. Spend a couple of $100. You'll see what I recommend in the book, but that's the way to go. And you need that because those have the gains on them, and the gain, you're going to have to put those pretty high up so that you can get some enough signal out of those microphones. And that's basically it on the equipment front. And like I said, if you want to go, if you're about to go from the middle of the pack to a high quality show, you already have your celebrity already. You have over 100,000 followers on Twitter, and you're getting into podcasting, and you bought this book and this video to learn how to do it. There's a better chance that you might want to go ahead and make that investment for the Shure microphones. The quality can't be beat on those. That's just the way it is. But for those, you're also going to need a microphone. A mixing board. Apologize. And that's just part of it, as with the XLR inputs. And you're going to have to use those gains and those levels to do that. So, on the investment front, that's that. Just know where you are. Start small, and just go from there. And you'll see in the book what I recommend on that. Now, when we talk about format, you're going to want to whenever you get your podcast set up for hosting, you're going to get asked the category you want to be in. And the same thing with iTunes and Stitcher, you're going to get asked the category you want to be in. And within that category, there's also subcategories. So, you can have health and fitness, and then under that, there's more. There's, philosophy, there's that and more. Like, there's all types of different categories. So you really want to dial in what your format's going to be before you get publishing. This way in the iTunes charts, and this is where a lot of people get found, and it's a way for people to find you outside of your own promotions. But this is where you're going to see your rankings. This is where you're going to see, I am the top person in health. I'm the top person in fitness or self-help, whatever it may be. And that's really important. So you don't want to be changing that all the time. So you want to find where you're going to be. and just go from there, and try to stick within that realm. Because if you get too off and you try to do too many things across your podcast, it might make it a little hard if you don't have any recognition or name yet to get some ground. On the same note of format, you're also going to want to figure out the length of time you want your podcast to be. Now, people like predictability when it comes to podcasts. So if you think about the shows you watch or other shows you listen to on the radio, you know what time they're coming on, you know what time they're going to end. And a lot of people like to listen to podcasts on the drive to work or the ride home from work. So they know, hey, I have 30 minutes, I have an hour to kill. You want to make sure that you pick a time amount that each episode is going to be, and try to stick to that as much as possible, or as close as possible. It's okay to give or take a couple of minutes, 10 minutes here and there, but don't do 30-minute episodes and then you have 2-hour episodes and then you have 1-hour episodes. It's going to make it hard for your listener to find your shows predictable and fill in their daily busy lives with your episodes. So if they know every single time, hey, your podcast is always an hour long, they're going to know where they can fit that in their time. If they're cleaning their house, or if they're driving home to work, whatever, they'll know that, hey, they can listen to your podcast and it's going to be that perfect amount of time for them. Minimal, they don't have to commit to anything less or more. It's just, that's the way to go. And on that same note, you're also going to want to have a frequency of release. Now, if you think of almost all television shows, everything, the thing remains the same with podcasts. You want people to know when your new episodes are coming out. You don't want them to have to guess or just be surprised. Chances of them keeping on is going to be minimal. You want to schedule. So if they know that every Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to release a new podcast, that's going to be better for you. They're going to know that it's going to be available. There's going to be something new for them to listen to. But at the same time, if they weren't able to get to it when it initially came out, they know how many days and how much time they have till the next episode comes out for them to get caught up so they don't fall behind. There's nothing worse when you start falling behind on episodes, and this goes on television, on anything. And, after a lot of people, after something new has come out, they don't want to go listen to the older one because they feel like it's already in the past. It's already past them. So keeping a schedule and, sticking to it is amazing. And you'll find out later in these other videos and in the book that you can schedule release dates. You can record a bunch of podcasts in 1 week and then schedule to release them throughout the month if you want. And that way you're on schedule, you're ahead of schedule. And, you keep people, in the loop and everybody's happy, and it's just an easy way to go. So I would highly recommend doing that. And, as far as frequency and the length of the show, those are two very, very important things I'm going to recommend, not only for the quality of the show, but for the marketing.